Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Hello and welcome to the show. It's episode 711. I've gotten on a roll with some legends from Miles Kennedy to Sebastian Bach and now Michael Schenker. We recorded these two episodes pretty recently. I was going to hold them until they announced the U.S. tour. I don't think it's been announced yet by the time you're hearing this, if you're hearing this in the first week of January, first or second week of January. But the U.S. tour is, I guess, impending. Any announcement soon? Maybe hopefully this month, but the European tour is a go, and that is on sale now. It's coming up in April. My Years with UFO, 1972 to 1978, 50th anniversary celebration, and check it out. It's going to Hamburg, it's going to Krakow, Mannheim, Augsburg, Nuremberg, Maastricht, and many others. I see Bochum's on there. I love playing in Bochum. But the legend, the Axeman, you know him, you love him, Michael Schenker. What an honor to chat with this dude. Definitely paved the way for so many of your favorite guitar players and has put down some of the sickest riffs and solos ever known. He's just an absolute beast and a real interesting cat. I really enjoyed these two chats, and we edited them into one episode. So I really appreciate Michael Schenker taking the time, and we got some new sponsors. Big shout out to Blast Beats Vinyl. Make sure you support our sponsors and you support Blast Beat Vinyl. They are a mom and pop operation. I've heard nothing but good things about this company. Shout out to Amit. Amit is good people. Make sure you check out blastbeatsvinyl.com at the end of today's podcast. They are an independent, family-owned online extreme metal distro out of New Jersey. They import from top European labels, so you can dodge all those brutal $40 shipping fees. From big names to deep underground, including limited edition color runs and exclusive. Each vinyl's packed with some extreme care. That really, really matters, especially having put out so many albums on 12-inch vinyl over the last couple of years. We've had a lot that have been shipped back to us, and we've learned from guys like blastbeatsvinyl.com that you got to package it well, Buster. So save right now. 10% off your first order. Tell them Jamey sent you. Use code JASTA10 at checkout. Big thanks to Blast Beat Vinyl. Also, thank you to Unbeaten Records. Another killer new sponsor for the new year, and we appreciate them. Head on over to the Unbeaten Records merch store over at unbeaten.merchnow.com. Check out bands like Cell from Oklahoma City. Check out Edict from Rhode Island. And, of course, Pure Bliss from Syracuse. They just released their first offering on Unbeaten Records called Torture Realm. This record is sick. If you like it hard, then check out unbeaten.merchnow.com. Big thanks to Unbeaten Records. And of course, last but certainly not least, indiemerchstore.com. Use a promo code JASTA10. Indie Merch Store will be presenting a stage at Milwaukee Metal Fest 2025. Tickets are on sale now. Make sure you come out to Milwaukee and visit the Indie Merch Store booth, but then before the show, order some gear to wear to the fest over at indiemerchstore.com. Use the promo code JASTA10. All right, we got Michael Schenker on the show. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Jasta, or subscribe to Gas Digital if you want to hear a bunch of episodes earlier and you want some bonus content. But right now, we got the legend himself, Michael Schenker. Hit the music.
My friend, the lead singer of Hatebreed, the infamous and notorious Jamey Jasta, is in the building. That's what's up.
Jamey Jasta from the metal band Hatebreed. That guy's famous.
Coffee, death metal, and push-ups.
That's Jamey Jasta. Remember Jamey Jasta? You know him. He's a podcaster, but he's a metal man.
I would say delete that.
That shit is hard.
Your host, Jamey Jasta of Hatebreed.
How's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. Been really excited to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I produced the last two Dee Snider solo records.
Oh, no. Fantastic.
Yeah. So when I got the track listing for the UFO re-records, I was thrilled. Just looking at the guest list is a who's who of rock throughout the years. Congratulations on the record. It came out amazing. What would you say was the most fun working on? Which was the best artist to work with, and how did you choose these legends?
It doesn't work that way. It's like everything trickled in. I mean, and nothing was planned. We had no idea what we were doing. Everything trickled in, and every trigger was wonderful. It was just fantastic. How, for instance, I mean, I bumped into Dee Snider at an award in Wales, and he was telling me what a fan he is and stuff like that. He was telling me he went to the UFO reunion in New York and said to his guys, "Hey, this is a reunion," So I thought, this guy must be on the record, And so when I heard, that's like the trigger effect, like you don't hear everything being established or completed at the same time. So you hear like, okay, yeah, here is the latest version of Dee Snider. And I went, wow, what is this? I didn't know he can sing like this, It was fantastic. And so happened with many things like that. I mean, like Biff from Saxon. He invited me in 1980 to his recording studio. It must have been his first album he was making. And Saxon, they're all fans, Michael Schenker fans, UFO fans. And so over the years, I at festivals in my dressing room, I would hear, Saxon play Biff singing, and I would always have fun listening to him. So, eventually I was playing Barcelona, and we had a dressing room next to each other, and it was just divided by a curtain. So I pulled the curtain away and said, "Hey, Biff, you want to do this?" And he said, "Yes." So it was just like that. I mean, some ideas came from the record company, some from Michael Force. And so, like, for instance, like Stephen Piercy, I bumped into at the cruise, Monsters of Rock 23, and he came towards me with open arms and said, "Michael, we love you," and so I took that as okay, Stephen, I love his, I love the Round and Round record. I became friends with Rat and especially with Warren DeMartini. I helped them out, when Crosby died, and played with them for a tour. And so, I knew them, but I hadn't seen Stephen for many, many, many years, And so I thought, wait a minute, that guy, I think, he's very good for this particular song. And so it just went like this. And then, of course, then others, like Kai Hansen and Eric Cranwell, they were suggested by Michael Foster and Record Company. I listened to them on YouTube, and I went, wow, I heard from Eric, I heard him singing the Skid Row song, 18 and Live, or something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, And so anyway, it's just like step by step, we just kind of went, and then, of course, had Joey Tempest and John Norum. I always knew they were, big fans, and they invited me to on their headline show in a festival in Sweden, and we played Lights Out together. And so, it just went like this from, Roger Glover, he ended up playing. I never listened to, I have known Deep Purple since I was 14 or 13. I never knew what a great bass player Roger Glover is. When I heard Only You Can Rock Me, I went, wow. And this at this age, it's so beautifully played. So there were so many surprises when because like when we made the decision and confirm a particular singer or musician, then Michael Voss is also the engineer. He's taking care of the physical process of it. And then, I hear the in between results, I say, wow, that sounds great. Let's move on with it and so on. When I went to Frankfurt to our studio and Slash came with his crew and his amp, and he immediately said to me, "Hey, Michael, I told Axel I'm on my way to do this with you." And Axel was saying, "Oh, maybe I can sing a song or two." So I said, wow. Fantastic. Ask Axel if he, which song and so on. And so he ended up picking 3 songs he wanted to sing. Well, he actually did. He recorded Only You Can Rock Me, Too Hot to Handle, and Love to Love. And Axl wasn't happy with his performance. They were on tour on top of it, and also he's a perfectionist, So he said he only wanted to focus on one song, and he picked Love to Love. And so eventually, it took a while. Eventually, we got a message from Axl saying, "Okay, here is my latest version. I'm happy with it, ready for release." Fantastic. And so we have got 2 songs sitting around somewhere. Only You Can Rock Me and Too Hot to Handle, sung by Axl, but of course they cannot be released unless Axl wants it to be released.
Right. What a tease. That would be amazing to hear
Yeah.
those. So do you have to give everyone their own instructions? Because you can't give them their choice, right? Because if they want to sing one of the songs that Axl wants to sing, you obviously have to give him first choice, right?
Well, in the beginning it was different. And so everything, just happened somehow in a way that what actually people expressed they wanted to do worked out. It was almost like that. The only way I can maybe imagine how it works is that they used to play those songs when they were kids, and they knew every song. And so I think for them it was every song was okay for them.
Really? So
I
it's
would
a little
imagine
serendipitous.
that's maybe how it can be. But in the beginning, of course, the choice was much bigger. Like, for instance, you have 11 songs. You ask the first one which song you want to sing. You got 11 songs to choice. But if you only have got 4 songs, you have to tell them that this is 4 songs. You have a choice of 4 songs, and they pick a song. But it always works out.
Yeah. And did you have other songs that you wanted to do besides those 11? Like, was it hard to choose
No.
one or 2 for each? Because I was listening to Force It the other day, and I thought, oh my God, I wouldn't have been able to choose.
Well, the thing is, this is an interesting thing that happened. From Phenomenon on to Force It to No Heavy Petting, Lights Out, Obsession, we, after each album, we would collectively decide which 2 or 3 songs we want to put in a live show. And we did that with every album. So collectively, at the end of the day, we had chosen the best of UFO, which became Strangers in the Night. And so when I look at Strangers in the Night, I realize most of the songs are composed by myself. And so this is my years with UFO, so my songs with UFO. And it just happened to be all of them almost. And what I picked, with the exception of Too Hot to Handle, I picked that song in memory of Paul Raymond and Pete Way.
Right. And what is your best memories of like working on those records, like working with Leo Lyons and working with Chrysalis Records? What was this? Did this give you any closure, or did this bring back any fun, interesting stories or memories?
It's a book, it's a book. It's a development, a book of development. You start, I go back to when I was born, has been a book of development, 3 years old or 4 years old, drumming on cooking pots and singing, having fun with music, 6 years playing a piano that was sitting there like a toy piano, or a violin that was hanging there. It was just me touching instruments consistently. Whatever was sitting around or looking at me, I would touch until the guitar came into the house. And that's when I was 9 years old. And that's when I started developing guitar playing. And so going into the studio for the first time as a 15-year-old with the Scorpions, that was exciting. Wow, listen to this is great, blah, blah, blah. And then being invited by UFO and doing Phenomenon, and the next record was Force It. I can hear very clearly how I developed from Phenomenon to Force It. I can hear very clearly how I developed from Force It to, as a lead guitarist, to No Heavy Petting. So that was my focus, the development. And every development has its own unique surroundings, so they cannot even be compared. It's impossible. It's just every development. It's the first time we experience this. It's the first time, we are the latest on this planet. So
Yeah.
it's never been done before. And so everything is really always there now.
Do you think the development, the main part was the arrangements? Because when I listen to the arrangements from Phenomenon to Force It, it's like they just flow. They both flow great, but having those catchy bridges and those big moments, those big spaces for the solos and stuff, did that all just flow out of you? Do you think you channeled it from somewhere? Like, how would you describe that development?
Well, I had to explain to Leo Lyons and to others. We did a song called "Give Her the Gun" before we even did Phenomenon, and it was just like everybody always wanted me to turn my guitar down to below 1. What is the problem with you guys? I mean, I was already in complete distortion mode. There's no way to go the opposite. This is not how it works. So I had to explain to Leo Lyons that, I need to get this a particular kind of, I need to turn up to a point where it starts distorting. Otherwise, no point in doing this. And at home, I had already a distorted sound by improvising with pick noses or other things like a radio overdriving it or something. But it was the distortion that gives you the combination lock, because unlike a piano, a note played on the guitar with distortion, you can stop the note anytime you want. You can add a vibrato to it. You can add, you can hit the note once or twice. You can bend it. You can do endless things with it. And that's why it's such a fantastic instrument for me, especially doing, pure self-expression, finding all sorts of different combinations to express on the guitar. And so basically most of the songs that I wrote, I started as an instrumental. They're already arranged. And so like Love to Love, Doctor Doctor, Belladonna, Try Me, or whatever, those songs, they were all started off as instrumentals. And then Phil liked it, and he would ask me to just give him the straight chords and sing something to it. And so basically we put, Phil's inspired vocal by what I already presented to him and put it together. And I had to explain to Leo Lyons also what guitar sound I wanted on the lead guitar. And with my broken English, that wasn't that easy. But I managed to tell him also what kind of a delay or reverb I wanted. And because I heard my whole sound in my head, it was just a matter of getting it out of my mouth, to the person who was producing.
Hey everybody, quick interruption letting you know today's episode is brought to you by blastbeatsvinyl.com, an independent family-owned online extreme metal distro out of New Jersey. They import from top European labels so you can dodge those brutal $40 shipping fees. $40? You crazy? From big names to deep underground, they got it all, including limited edition color runs and exclusives. Each vinyl's packed with extreme care in premium mailers, so you don't got to worry about your UPS guy fucking giving it the old heave-ho. Even if they do, your vinyl's going to be in tip-top shape, Buster. Head on over to blastbeatsvinyl.com. Tell them Jasta sent you. Use the code JASTA10 at checkout. That's Jasta, Jasta 10 at checkout for 10% off your order over at blastbeatsvinyl.com. Big thanks to blastbeatsvinyl.com. And while I have you, check out Milwaukee Metal Fest coming up May 15th through the 18th at the Rave Eagles Ballroom in beautiful downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's right. Go to metalfest.com or visit therave.com/metalfest for your tickets down in one of their only USA shows of the year. Zach Wilde and the Mighty Black Label Society, plus Guar, Arch Enemy, Devin Townsend, Dillinger Escape Plan, Paradise Lost, Enslaved, and many more. Go to metalfest.com. Now back to the show. Well, the recording still, I mean, it totally stands up to this day. And then you bring this new life to these songs now with these other artists guessing on them. I mean, it's exciting, I think, for a lot of the musicians from the next generations, because if we ever did songs that we felt like we maybe didn't get the push, or maybe we had a bad record deal or a bad publishing deal. Now this, you're setting an example like this can go on and have new life. Like now with Axl Rose on a track, maybe this whole new generation or a different group of people that never heard of you or UFO might be exposed to it. But then also the classic fans, the fans that have stood with you, get to hear this new version where you not only, do it justice, but you bring new life to it. So was that something you thought about when you went into it? Like maybe with all the new technology and the new algorithms, you'll have this this way to reach all these new ears and eyes.
No, it was basically the 50th anniversary. That was when that hit my head, and that was the now. Then everything sparked. I looked at everything. I went like, wait a minute. There is no information on remasters. Nothing. There's only the name UFO. There's only the name of the song. People whistling this, they don't even know where it comes from, and especially newcomers. So I wanted to re-educate, fans that may have forgotten, and inform newcomers, what happened 50 years ago. I mean, 50 years is a long time. 1900, I don't have no idea what happened in 1900.
Right.
50 years back from when I was born. And so, it's a long time, and things get forgotten, and so on. And so I put a lot of information on liner notes on the album, etc., etc. Then on top of that came the realization that most of the songs of Strangers in the Night, which was the best of, were my compositions. This is my years with UFO, with my compositions. So I want that to be highlighted. And then on top of that, I thought it would be great, and even, it would be so much fun to celebrate this with musicians, fans, and friends that had made it big, being inspired by UFO and Michael Schenker. And basically, that was the complete picture.
Yeah, I think more artists should take a page from your book and do this, because it's fun for the people who do know. And then for the people who don't know, maybe now they go down that rabbit hole and go look into your career and your time with UFO. And I even like the cover art too. I was looking at that. How did you decide on the artist for that? And what is it, like watercolors?
Yeah, it's kind of, circumstances, coincidences. I mean, the record company I picked to do this with, they have a great artist in there in the studio. And I didn't know that they were going to be doing drawings, but the idea I had that I wanted to have a kind of an album cover that reminded people automatically, subconsciously, of Strangers in the Night. And I fitted a bit of obsession into it, like with a and so that's the concept, obsession, Strangers in the Night, and but it was all drawings, which I didn't know, because I didn't know they had, because it was a brand new record deal, 3-album deal, which I did because I wanted to sum up everything I did in the last 50 years and wanted it to be done in one go and released in one go. Really, that was my idea. But so it's kind of ends up that this album, UFO, of course, is coming out on the 20th. And then I was in the studio from the 20th, from June 2023 until February 2024, and I did 3 albums. One was the UFO, My Years with UFO. The next one was MSG, Michael Schenker Group, an album called Don't Sell Your Soul, and that will be released in 2026. And most songs are sung by Eric Grönwall, and some of them by Robbie McCauley, and some by Michael Voss. And then the third album that will be out in 2026, which is an instrumental album, which was part of my 50 years, what I did, UFO, Michael Schenker Group, instrumental music. And so I started putting my guitars down, and Michael Voss started singing so beautifully. I said, Michael, we should turn this into a vocal album. This sounds so great. Then somebody had the idea to tune the instruments to 432, which is the same tuning as Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, which apparently is the vibration of the universe. And so we did that instead of 440. So that kind of gave it a kick as well. And then it's such an unusual record I mean, we invited Herman Ravel on drums. It ended up as a vocal album. It ended up so incredible. It became one of my favorite albums now. That it's just so, you will not believe it's me. By the way, it's so out there, and it's called Freedom of Expression.
Amazing. So you have two other albums in the can, and they're going to be released next year and the year after.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is great. So it seems like a cool collaboration with Ear Music, like a really good partnership. How did you link up with them?
Oh, with Michael Voss, it's like he is a fan. I mean, he is a UFO fan, Michael Schenker fan, a Gary Barden fan, MSG fan, Roger Glover fan. The whole part, that's him, So I couldn't have a better person than him because he understands me like a book. I mean, he can read me like a book. Basically, he knows exactly what to do, what I'm asking to do. It's amazing. It's just a very, very lucky situation.
That's great. And they even got the hat. They got the hat perfect in the drawing on the cover. How many of those hats do you have, and where do you keep them?
Say again?
They even got the hat, the detail on the hat, like in the drawing on the cover. Your hat.
My hat? Which hat? The fur hat?
Yeah. How many of those do you have, and where do you keep them?
How many have I got? Actually, I used to have. They're actually French. They are French design. And I don't know how I got to the first one. I guess it's a build-up. If I look at my past pictures, the hats always got a little bigger, and somehow it ended up with a fur hat. I have no idea. I have an idea. Subconsciously, my dad used to wear a fur hat with a broken gun on it, and so he was like an anti-war person. I guess we all are, but he expressed it on his hat, and so maybe that stayed in my. He was a great architect as well. He was designing houses, so I designed music, and and so I'm very much like my father, so maybe that's where he comes from.
Nice. Now you got to collaborate with all these artists. What about the artists that want to collaborate with you? Like, what about artists that want to maybe have you play on their track? Are you open for those types of
funny.
collabs?
That is a great question. I have a great answer. It has happened, and I was asking myself as well, but I can't just throw my name around just like that, But I do give hope and opportunity, which benefits me and them. Is I just simply say I only do full projects, meaning that if somebody wants me involved, I can't just give my name away for one song. There has to be a whole album. And it has to be with somebody that is worthwhile doing it with.
Okay, great. Good to know. Now, was there any newer artists besides, say, Eric Grunwald that you wanted to feature that you couldn't just because you didn't have the songs? Like, is there anybody you want to shout out that you enjoy their guitar playing or their singing or their drumming that we should check out?
What do you mean of current musicians?
Yeah, like, is there anyone besides Eric? I mean, Eric's now obviously pretty established and big, but I think as people discover someone like that, they go, "Oh, wow, this guy's voice is amazing. I want to hear more."
But I don't listen to music for 50 years. I have no idea what's out there. That's why I didn't know about Eric and I didn't know about Kai. I was made aware of them. Here, check them out. They're really good. And I heard it. And I went, wow, yes, they are. That's how I found them.
Okay, so you're open to suggestions for, like if someone at the record label says, "Oh, you got to check out this person," but you're not.
Because I'm checking it out, and if my ear is happy, then I say yes.
Right on. I mean, it's a great platform, for I think to work with a legacy artist like yourself, someone who's been in the business so long and has this deep catalog. I do feel like a cosign can be almost a career-changing moment. Not that someone like Dee Snider or Axl Rose is, they're so deep into their career, but it's just for us fans to see someone that we might not know on a track listing like this. Like even Jeff Scott Soto, I wasn't too familiar with a lot of his material, but when I went and looked into him, I thought, I got to get this guy on the podcast, and started listening to some of his projects.
Yeah, I see what he's saying. Yeah, and that happens, and that can happen with other established musicians who do something similar, and that's how people can get the lucky break somewhere, somehow in the future.
Yeah, and I wonder, do you ever go on social media? Like, does your algorithm and your phone feed you these videos or feed you anything you haven't seen before?
I only go. I never really spent time, doing the web or anything like this. I do internet, emails, but I stay away from all of that other stuff because it would. I feel like it would be a big trap for me to get into it because I would be sucked in such a world, and I probably wouldn't be able to get out again. So I stay away from it. I knew that already subconsciously, but if there is a reason why I should be doing it, like with Eric and Kai, I have a listen and say, if that is an immediate, needs to be done immediately, I do it.
Let's go back to Force It real quick before we get out of here. I was looking at the cover art and I noticed that the US version was censored. Do you remember the conversations around that? And do you remember who came up with the idea?
Yeah, that is the thing. I'm purely music. I didn't even know that Phil Mock was singing about sex all the time. I only found out maybe 20 years ago. I was so into music that I got ripped off. I didn't know about the lyrics. I didn't know about anything about album covers. I didn't know anything about anything. I was just playing the music. That is my life. That is my room. They drop me off at the concert hall at 4 p.m. They go out and do some more drinking maybe or something. I play guitar until it's ready to go on stage. And then after the show, whatever. And that would go over and over. I would not really socialize that much. I would just be in my, and I guess while I was, focusing on playing guitar and inventing or, writing things and stuff like that, they probably would be working on maybe how to work on lights and how to work on more on the stage part of things like what album cover, etc., etc. So I guess that was automatically, naturally, I took care of the music. Phil and his guys were maybe more into designing album covers and stuff and lyrics and so on.
But do you remember, say, like them telling you this is our first, album to chart in the US and there's this controversy around the cover, or were you just so tunnel vision, with the chart?
Maybe I think I heard something that was in the talks that was like people. I think Phil is quite good in kind of trying to set people up to think, creating a rumor like that the other person was Pete Way. That's something I heard, that some people thought it was Pete Way at the Force It album with it somebody else. And then the other one, the Lights Out album, I had no clue what that was all about until only recently. It was really strange because I was just told, yeah, put on this thing. I put on this thing, stand over there, Phil over here. So basically what's on the album cover, you see the body in a foreground of Phil Mock and my body, full picture, in the background. And who knows what Phil was thinking of.
I had heard that on Force It was the group, it was two people from Throbbing Gristle. The group Throbbing Gristle.
Yeah, I just read something about that. Somehow I bumped into something I was looking for, and I was wondering, I never heard that before. I don't even know who these people are.
Yeah, they're an industrial group, and I thought maybe this is just an internet rumor or someone put this on the internet. But for the US version, they're translucent, like you can't really see. You can just see the sort of outline of the bodies.
Maybe that's why they did, to keep it interesting.
Right, and I think maybe that's helped with the charting, like any sort of.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see.
But thank you for the time, and I hope we can do another episode in the near future because I'd love to get into all the other questions. I know you have another interview scheduled coming up, but this was really an honor to chat with you, and I wish you the best with this, and I hope we get some tour dates announced. What is the plan for the tour, and will any guests come out and join you?
Yeah, we already are committed to Wacken in 25. This is all for 25. Alcatraz Festival in Europe, and we have an offer for a European tour with Eric Renwell singing, and we have an offer for the US tour for in autumn 25 with Eric Renwell singing, and we have actually. Michael Foss, my co-producer, told me that Axel contacted him and expressed interest in doing Japan with us. So
Wow.
yeah, and so those things are happening in 25.
Amazing. Well, good luck with everything, and thanks again for the time, Michael. And can't wait to crank this album up again today. And hopefully, we'll have you back on in the near future.
Great, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, you hear that? That's the band Concrete with their track Dead Nails. That is off the Mortualis release, which is available now over at upstaterecords.newyork.com. And we got to give Upstate Records a big shout out for sponsoring today's episode. You can save 10% on all web store items over at upstaterecordsny.com when you use the promo code JASTA10. And congratulations to Concrete. They just won 4 Extreme Music Awards this month, and it was a great event. Shout out to Bidner, shout out to Valenti, shout out to Matt Byrne, and shout out to Upstate Records. Visit Upstate Records New York. That's upstaterecordsny.com. Use the code JASTA10. Save yourself 10% when you shop their web store. Big thanks to Upstate Records. Give them a sub on YouTube, youtube.com/Upstate Records New York. And check out upstaterecords.bandcamp.com. Now back to the show. So, Michael, what is the holy grail guitar that you have always wanted but never purchased yet?
What do you mean by holy ground?
Holy grail. Like, what guitar have you searched for your whole life that you've never been able to buy, if there was such a thing?
Oh no, I haven't. I have that guitar. I never looked for anything.
You're done. You're never getting another guitar.
No, I don't even go to music shops trying pedals or this or that. I have what I need.
What is it?
That's a 50-watt Marshall JCM 2205, which apparently was actually built on something that in 1980 I went to Marshall's and started to put together a Michael Schenker amp, and that never finished. It was like maybe 3/4 done, but that was put to the side. And later, when my UFO amp broke in '83 in San Francisco, and that was the time when I had to look for a new amp. And very strangely, I went through many, many amplifiers, but I eventually got, very interested in the 50-watt Marshall 800 JCM. And then somebody was telling me that was actually the amp that I designed in 1980.
Come on.
I have no idea how that worked out, but I must have recognized the frequencies in that amplifier because, I was playing like the nasally wah-wah sound in those days a lot. And I guess those frequencies were in there, and that's how I picked that amplifier. It's almost like I recognized my own sound in that amplifier that I was building in 1980. And it just came to me. I mean, just like everything else, everything in my life just comes to me. I don't do anything other than being myself and being in the moment and enjoying the music.
So you didn't feel like you were owed any royalties or anything like that, and you didn't care to say, "Oh, this was my technology that I created."
Yeah, but that's not my focus. If I focus on that kind of stuff, I am in the wrong place. It doesn't match who I am, and that kind of thinking it would split my focus. I couldn't enjoy one or the other.
Right. Like maybe that would take away from a song that a great song you could write, or a great solo, or an
Yeah.
arrangement. You just devoting the mental power to something like that. But what about for guitars? Like guitar wise, your actual guitars that you play on tour, was there any that you always searched for, or do you have those already and you don't need any more?
No, I mean, I'm also not a guitar collector. And but I ended up with over 20, 30 guitars, but not because I mean, basically, it was like to design different models for Dean. And that's how I ended up with all of these different guitars, these different looks, maybe more decorative than anything. But, but in general, I have the sound that, I mean, how do you say that? I mean, you put a guitar on the floor, nothing comes out of it. You have to touch it. Somebody has to touch it and play it, and then it becomes that. And with all the other things you choose, the amplifier and how you connect things, what kind, if you play pedals or not, directly in or through a wah-wah, these are personal choices, but you don't know, what will eventually, I mean, it's just over the years, maybe I made a change here or there, and I went like, wow, that sounds good. And that maybe you get even closer to your guitar sound. But that again is just based on circumstances. Now, I always have one, a thing that works, and it's automatically, it sounds like me. I think the focus on self-expression is probably the most important thing for uniqueness, or for being happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, and your sound, I'm sure I've heard many guitar players that I respect, say that your sound is all you. It's all in your hands and your expression. But I wonder if you ever felt a guitar or looked for a certain type of wood and said, this is the only guitar I would want to play, and then designed it based on that. But it sounds like they just find you.
Yeah, I have no idea what kind of wood or what kind of pickup, or how they need to be wired, or whatsoever. I have no clue. I just purely use my ears. If something sounds good for me, that's it. I don't even ask any questions why. It just sounds good, and I'm playing it.
So if everything is predestined and predetermined with you, are you superstitious? Do you think of the future? Are you an anxious person, or do you just take it day by day?
Yeah, day by day. I don't think. I mean, it's the music. I've got, it's the focus on a balanced development throughout the years, on a very not a big deal kind of a. I don't need to sit down and practice for 15 hours or something. It's just continuous, what do you call it? It's kind of like a routine. Every day I devote some time to that, and that's enough. It's nothing extreme, but the steps make the difference. Yeah, if you do it every day, eventually you make it all the way around the world.
Yeah, I agree. I'm about to leave for a 30-date tour, and I was excited to talk to you and just find out about your routine and how you can make the show better each day, or if you have sort of, parameters when you go in to a new venue. Obviously, you've done all shapes and sizes of the venues, but is the routine key in the happiness on the road and the happiness with the show?
I mean, being ready today is the most important thing for me. So in order to be ready today, I have to do what it takes to be ready today. And that is not waiting until last minute, because that becomes hell. So I do the groundwork, footwork in a balanced way, day by day. By the time I do my tour, I have no problems.
what's a venue that you love to play that you're always happy when you show up to?
I have no idea. I play so many funny places, from like 12 people up to 80,000 people. It makes no difference. It's just, for me, yeah, of course, it's great to play in front of, like 500,000 people or 100,000 people. But I also enjoy playing in front of 20 people or 30 people. I have always done that. I never got disturbed by that. I wondered sometimes why only 30 people. But I did a lot of touring without management and without anybody looking after me. And so I just focused on the music, and I was just happy. I never got paid until 91. That is like a long, long time after UFO and Michael Schenker group. So I never missed it because I'm happy with necessity. I can be. And so it's really not, I don't really look at money if I spend too much or too little, but I make sure that I don't have to borrow. It's, I don't know. I just kind of make it comfortable.
No, I like this outlook that you have, because I'll have certain people on the show. Like I had Jeff Tate from Queensryche on the show, and he's like, I don't ever want to set foot into the Whiskey or the Chance Theater in Poughkeepsie. And I had 2 shows sold out at the Chance in Poughkeepsie coming up. And I was like, I wasn't offended by it, but I was like, I'll play anywhere. I'll play where, like, just like you said, whether it's 18 people or 500,000. And I like Jeff. I have no problem with him. He has his, he has the right to have his opinion. But I would say be excited to go play the Whiskey. I haven't played the Whiskey in a long time. I'm playing this other theater instead of the Whiskey. We're lucky enough to be doing a bigger theater. But I just wondered about that. Like if you remembered playing like CBGB's, or even say like the SO36 in Berlin, or if you had a venue that you had any sort of feeling or attraction to that you enjoy playing.
No, it's not my focus. It's not my focus. I mean, the Budokan was an important, never was my focus either. I never knew about the Budokan, but I played there and it became a very famous venue for me. I have a very amazing memory of what happened, arriving at the show. It was like being in the Beatles. It was just amazing. But it's still, what I am doing is I want freedom. I want peace, and I don't want to be interrupted by stuff that makes no sense. And so, pure self-expression, that's where my rewards come. That's where I'm happy. And and not being trapped by a tricky manager. And so I was very, very careful. I am very careful in the past 20, 25 years. I wasn't before because I didn't know anything. But I got trapped badly, and I had to pay. I was basically tricked into signing borrowing some more money for the assault attack by a manager who tricked me into this. I got a cross-collateralized between UFO debts and Michael Schenker debts, and he disappeared with the money. I never saw him again. That was in 1980. So he probably built himself a house somewhere in the Philippines and never showed his face again because I never saw him again. And so, but even that kind of, it was disturbing, but I snapped out of it pretty quickly because I always said to myself, well, of course I got more and more careful, but not careful enough maybe because it's a catch-22 in a way, but I was able to stay away from big management who wanted to sign me, and last moment I went, no, I can't do this. And that was a blessing because that gave me the freedom. I was never forced to do anything. Everything I do is pure joy because I love to do and pick the notes that I want to pick, not a note that the manager wants to pick. So I put my notes together the way I like it because I'm an artist.
Yeah, I like that. And it sounds like you're in a much better place now, especially with this new deal and these 3 albums where it's enough. I feel like great content and interesting stuff for you where you get this advance, but you're not over committing and you're not going to owe them, right? You're more in control of your career and how you want to express yourself through the music and put these records out. But do you find, say, like when you go out on this tour and you have Eric, do you find that you'll be seeing bootleg records and old T-shirts and stuff? And do you think, oh man, I should have paid more attention to that? Or is it you're just happy to sign any record?
No, you cannot do anything about bootlegs. I mean, the thing is, I played with Simon Phillips' 25th anniversary MSG in Japan. 2 days later, I was in a record store. It was already being sold there. I went to a lawyer. I got my lawyer. I have a lawyer. I mean, I have a lawyer since 2005, and he basically takes care of me. I mean, that is a very good and important man to have. And so I went to him and said, like, well, here, can you do something about this? And he contacted the people in Japan, and they didn't want to touch it. They are scared, the mafia, etc., etc. They don't want to touch it. That you can't get anywhere. You have to have a lot of money. I heard David Gilmour, he found a lot of money, like 5 million when he did an audit somehow, and he was owed $5 million, dollars. But you have to have money in order to actually stop. Sound you can duplicate. I keep having this conversation. It is so funny. I feel like I'm in a it's a service. I feel like I'm in a job of service. Nobody makes a sausage for free, but I make my notes for free. Basically, the day the album is out, it's all around the world, and that's it. It's every song can be heard, and it's fine in a way too, because it's great to be every technology or every forward movement development has got its positive and negative, and so you win some, you lose some, and that's with everything like this. But I am very happy that I can be happy with necessity. I grew up in a very humble way. I was 7 years younger than my brother Rudolf, who was obsessed being famous, probably pushed by my mom being the first. I was the second, and I was left alone. So I was able to just freely do what I wanted. I had never had to compete with anybody, because you don't compete with a brother that's 7 years older. Shouldn't be a competition the other way around either. But for me, it's I'm not part of that, of competing. I'm not part of fighting with my brother. He's 7 years older. How can I fight? So I had a very unique design and upbringing in the first place that allowed me to come to this day today.
Hey everybody, quick interruption, letting you know today's episode is brought to you by Unbeaten Records. Hear that shit behind me? That's Pure Bliss with their track Berserker. That shit is hard. Syracuse is known for some of the hardest groundbreaking bands in hardcore. Pure Bliss just released their first offering on Unbeaten, and it's called Torture Realm. You can pick it up right now and save yourself 15% when you go to unbeaten.merchnow.com. That's unbeaten.merchnow.com. Use the promo code unbeaten15. Also check out bands like Edict from Rhode Island and Cell from Oklahoma City when you visit unbeaten.merchnow.com. Use that promo code unbeaten15 and save 15%. And while I have you, if you are headed to Milwaukee Metal Fest this year, get yourself a meet and greet or get yourself some Milwaukee Metal Fest merch over at martyrstore.net. They also have Crowbar, Hatebreed, Jasta, and many other titles. We even found some Corpse Grinder vinyl in storage. I think there's another like 10 or 15 copies on yellow. Use the code NYD. That's right, we kept open the New Year's Day code. Use the code NYD at checkout and you will save. That's martyrstore.net for all your Milwaukee Metal Fest merch and meet and greet needs. Now back to the show.
Feelings of hate, the
Yeah, it's a very interesting story, and the parts of that, where you had your financial struggles, I appreciate you sharing them because it's a cautionary tale for the musicians, especially of this generation, who are being now duped into these 360 deals where they're giving away their publishing, they're giving away their merch. Sometimes they're even giving away the rights to their likeness or the name, and not just in music, in other forms of entertainment that involves any live performance. But I appreciate that you're open about that. Like, I've had Duff McKagan on from Guns N' Roses, and he was one, like you were saying, went and audited the label, and their auditor says, you owe us 8 million, and they go, well, we'll give you 5. And in any other system, they'll be like, no, you got to go to jail. If you're robbing us for $3 million, you would go to jail. But in that world, it was commonplace to just say, take what you can get. But I feel like now with Spotify and with independent labels and independent distributors and cool indie labels like you're working with, Your Music is a great, indie label with a passionate guy who's obviously loves the players and loves the music, that it's like us as musicians, we're getting more, I guess, fair chance at sharing in the profits because of people like you who you kicked down so many doors, but then you also had to pay the price and kind of learn from those relationships that didn't work out. And sorry, I have to take a drink of water. There was a question there. I guess the question would be, besides needing a lawyer, a good, trustworthy lawyer, and a good manager who's not going to take, say, 20% of your gross, what is the other best advice you would have for a new musician?
Where's the what?
Besides a good lawyer and a good manager who's not taking 20% of your income or more, what is the other sort of person of the team that you would add?
Well, I mean, I would love to have a trustworthy manager. I would love to have a lawyer to protect me. And I would love to have an organization to put people on retainer, to have all of those things that the double platinum album bands have or had. I would love to have all of that, but, I had to choose what was the most important. So in order to be in that kind of a situation where you have all of these things, you belong to somebody else. You belong to managers and clever people. I don't want to be there, not for a penny, never, ever. And so, that's why I'm calling that album, MSG album, that I'm bringing out in 25, Don't Sell Your Soul. Because what it means to me, when I ask myself the question, what does it mean to don't sell your soul? It means I'm selling myself for money and do something I don't like. That is selling my soul. That is how I interpret that. And that's why I didn't, join bands like Ozzy or, or any big band because I don't want to be owned by them. I want to be myself. That's it. They're most important than anything else.
Yeah, no, and that's a great message for people, especially when they're given these contracts. They need to think about guys who, like you, who have been in the position who made those choices. How many of those situations do you think have you turned down in your life? Like, how many of those offers have you turned down?
I don't know how. I wouldn't be able to count. I mean, I found my lawyer in a telephone book. That's it. That's the best relationship I've ever had in my life. And that's how everything that was worthwhile worked out for me. Always coincident circumstances. Somehow something showed up the way it did when it had to happen, or like not all things that look bad are bad. From the bad we learn and so on. But that's what I look like. That's what I look at in my life. It's a continuation of experiencing the ups and downs, or the things that appear to be good or bad. But it's all, without that, you don't have any hurdles. You have to have hurdles in life in order to develop. Without tools, you can't do anything. I mean, you have no challenge. Fighting with something, meaning like you have problem here, problem there. I mean, all of these things are blessings because they are tools. They are not a nuisance. They actually shape us. And so it's just another way of looking at things.
Yeah, I love that. It's a win or learn instead of win or lose type of mentality. So with the plans, for these records over the next 2 years, and with the tour with Eric Grunwald singing, is it all going to be headlining, or would you like to support a bigger group? Like if Metallica comes knocking?
Yeah, all of that, all of the above. It's just I'm happy doing an opening slot. I'm happy doing whatever. Like do a 60-minute or 45 minutes on stage, or do a 90-minute, whatever comes up. I don't say that. Oh, there's no way I do this or no way I do that. Whatever comes up, it's gonna be fine.
Great. So you would consider like a G3 type of tour if Steve Vai or one of these guys called you, Petrucci from Dream Theater? Would you do something like that?
Well, I mean, it would have to be suitable. It would have to be a billing that makes sense. And so it's when those things happen, I will think. Because I'm not really trying to work something out that is not reality. I mean, I when somebody knocks me on the, pats me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Michael, what do you think?" Let me think.
Yeah. I saw footage of Zakk Wylde playing the Hendrix show, and I caught that show like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was great. And there was this guy Eric Gales was there, and Rich from Black Crowes. It was a really cool show, and I thought about, this conversation I was going to have with you. And I thought, would you ever consider playing someone else's songs on a tour like that, like a Jimi Hendrix tour, or a band that you admired from your youth or something to that effect?
Oh, no. I mean, I can play a song, like I did on a cruise, like an AC/DC song or a Jimi Hendrix song. But that's not my focus. I mean, it's self-expression is my main course.
Right on. And if you get a movie made about your life, like who would you have play? Like what actor? Do you know any actors that you would have play your character in the movie?
The funny thing is, I'm not really watching movies for the last 20 years. I don't really know anybody. I did, I just went through about 4 movies. They all were Schwarzenegger, but obviously he wouldn't be able to play me. But those were the 4 movies that I remembered, and I wanted to revisit them. But the funny thing was, I went to my fiance like, I don't remember seeing this movie. It's like all of a sudden the whole movie turned into something else that was not what I thought it was when I watched it, 30 years ago. I don't understand how that works, but somehow I couldn't remember anything of the movies. And I picked those movies because I remembered them, enjoying them. But it seems like 30 years later, I can't enjoy them the same way. I don't know why.
Was it Total Recall?
I don't know, but it was like actually True Lies probably was quite nice, good. But then there was Kindergarten. It was just like, I had an absence for movies for another 10 years before then. And so my first movie was in a cinema, watching Kindergarten, I guess, and then another one with Schwarzenegger. And then I guess True Lies as well. I noticed they were all in that period. It was between 90 and 95. And but it's just strange that the movies don't appear to be the same. I don't feel that I've watched that movie before. It's just so strange. I don't know why.
They call that the Mandela effect. Have you ever heard of that?
Of what?
Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
No.
There's a phenomenon called the Mandela effect where you could have swore you remembered something as a certain way. They call it that because there were people that remembered Nelson Mandela passing away, but when he hadn't. And he was actually freed from prison, and they swore up and down, like 1 million people were like, no, he's already passed away or something. Like, I'm paraphrasing. But there's a lot of examples of that where people will look back at something and they remember it completely differently. Like a Fruit of the Loom. If you've ever seen those brand of the t-shirts, that was a big controversy. People remember the logo being a cornucopia with some fruit in the cornucopia, and it's not. It's just a little stack of fruit. If you've ever seen the Fruit of the Loom.
Yeah.
So maybe you're experiencing, but do you believe, if you want to get spacey for the last 4 minutes here, Mr. Schenker, do you believe in anything spacey, supernatural, aliens, Bigfoot? How wild do you go?
Yeah, I kind of just stick with nothing is impossible.
I like it. Okay. So, but do you think we can will these things into existence? It sounds like you do it sounds like your life is based off of being in the what they would call the parasympathetic nervous system, where you're not in fight or flight, where you're just in the moment and enjoying life.
Yeah, that is, and I have to. It's also to do with acceptance. It's all to do with peace. I mean, all I want is contentment, in search of peace of mind. That was the first song I ever wrote with this, when I recorded that with the Scorpions, and that has been my soundtrack. I have two tattoos on the back of my shoulders. One says "Born to be free" and "Born to overcome," and that's it. So I feel like I'm going through life, things are being put in front of me, and I have to deal with it. And that's what brings me to the next level. So I don't have to change the world, but I can deal with what's in front of me. That will bring me to the place where there may be more peace than I have experienced in the beginning of my life. It's so I just accept what is in front of me. I don't make a deal out of it. If I can't play tomorrow, I have to accept it. I just have to. And I'm convinced that something will show up that makes it possible for me.
That's great. I love that. And we'll leave it at that. And I think your music provides that for a lot of people. I think when people listen to your playing and listen to your songs and go see you live, that's like their way of getting into some sort of peace of mind or some sort of contentment. So it's a great thing to have, I guess, that come full circle like that, where you provide that that relief or that escape, and people get to experience, your live show and your records, and it touches them and puts them in that good peace of mind feeling. So thank you so much. And we'll see you on the road with Eric. We're going to try to make it out to some shows. We'll put the dates up on the screen for everybody. And hopefully we'll come back. I can't wait to hear your record with the different tuning. Like, I think you said it was Pink Floyd. You did the same.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be 2026.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll talk to you then, and good luck out there. And thanks again for the time.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Quick little outro, everybody, and thanks so much. If you liked what you heard today with Michael Schenker, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment. That helps us get back into the good graces of the algorithm gods. And don't forget to go subscribe over at patreon.com/Jasta or subscribe at gasdigital.com. I want to thank Unbeaten Records. Visit their merch store at unbeaten.merchnow.com. Use the promo code unbeaten15 and you'll save on new releases from Cell, Pure Bliss, Edict, and more. Also got to thank blastbeatsvinyl.com, your one-stop shop for all things extreme metal. From the big titles to the underground, they got it all, and they package that shit well. Use the code JASTA10 and you will save 10% off. Tell them Jasta sent you. Big thanks to Blast Beats Vinyl. Also, thank you to IndieMerchStore.com. Same promo code for Indie Merch Store. especially if you're picking up any of those restocks. Maybe you're headed out to see Dying Fetus. Maybe you're headed out. You know what? Email me, JastaShow@gmail.com. Let me know what shows you're catching. I might go see 6 Feet Under and Nile. I'm also thinking about getting tickets to this Cradle of Filth Dying Fetus show. Got to get some merch to wear to the show. Got to be that guy. I don't care. I wear the Dying Fetus show right to the Dying Fetus shirt. I don't give a fuck. Go to indiemerchstore.com. Use the promo code JASTA10. Of course, if you want a shout out on the show, any amount gets you a shout out. Maybe you want to shout out your show, your band, your label, your distro. Any amount gets you a shout out. PayPal.me/Jasta or Venmo @Jamey Jasta. Or if you got Cash App, it's $ Jamey Jasta. And remember, it's spelled JAMEYJASTA. Okay, what else we got? JameyJasta.com, metalfest.com. I already plugged the Patreon, and I will be back with an episode of How Awesome Is This and a brand new episode with Vinny Stigma, the godfather of New York hardcore. Thanks again, everybody. Love you all. Thank you all. Drink your coffee. Do your push-ups. Listen to fucking Undergang. All right, bye-bye.